We are headed to the Goodwill Bins to see what we can find and to possibly thrift for a profit. And boy, is it crowded here today. There are no carts anywhere. And so my husband said, I'll go find one maybe in the parking lot. Why don't you go ahead and jump on in? So let's head to our shopping. So the first thing that I found was this wreath. And I really didn't want the metal part, but I did like the greenery. So I held that in my hand and I kept on looking. And then I saw these wooden baby gates, and I need one of these for our little doggy for when we go out. And so I grabbed one of those and I kept on looking. And then I found this like pampas grass. And so I happily grabbed that as well. And please let me know if you see anything that I missed that you would have picked up. Please put it in the comments below. And then I came across this gorgeous Christmas wreath. I loved how full it was. The berries were nice. The pine cones on it were really amazing. But I have so much Christmas stuff, I decided to leave that behind. And oh my goodness, did you see that? They are trading out these bins. Look at these new ones that are coming in. And can you see all those people that are lined up all around it waiting to pounce and dive in? So let's go. I found this sweet bird cage and I did put it in my cart for a while, but at the end I decided, I thought the ivy was a little bit busy and I could not figure out how to pull it off. It looked like it was soldered on there really well, so unfortunately that little birdhouse stayed behind. And then I saw this clock, which I loved. However, I could not figure out if it was working or not. So I decided to leave it behind. Okay, let's get to the haul. And I have to say that I was not so excited about it, so I haven't even unloaded it from my car yet. So I'm out here in the garage, and I do have to say there are a few gems. And this is one of them. Look at this. It is basically a galvanized metal planter. Isn't that so cool? So I want to put this in my yard, and I'm even thinking, if you watch my channel, I hauled that really big, beautiful birdhouse. I was thinking I could put it on here and put it in a planter in the front. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll be doing that next week. My other most favorite item, this giant basket. Look at that. Oh my gosh, I love the coloring on it. I love the age. Can you see that? Oh my goodness. It did not come with all this greenery. I put all that in there, but this is such a beautiful basket. And I'm always saying that you can never have too much greenery. And I am 100% out of greenery. Here is the first set of greenery that I got. And there were a lot of these strands. And I love that they even have those little tendrils on them. And I forget what this is called in real life, but I loved those, and I always love white flowers. So these are like lily tubes. Oops, I just pulled that off. And some ranunculus and like a dahlia. So really fun. Then I got some of this plant. Oh my gosh. So I think these are pretty realistic looking. I think these will be so great, like trailing down on things. So I got those. I found two of these succulents, and they still have a price tag on it, and it says that they are $8.95 each. So really nice quality, and some hot pink too, right? Isn't that so sweet? I loved the greenery on here. So I intend to take the greenery off this wreath and use it in something else. My husband has a choo-choo train set in like our village. I thought this would go so great, and there is decoration. And then I got some of these. Now I am looking for some bigger ornaments to do over to put in my Christmas tree this year. So not only did I get these two, I got this one and this one. Look at it, it's like almost as big as my face. But stay tuned, I will be doing those over for the tree for this year. And speaking of tree, I found this sweet little set of wooden ornaments in gingerbread. I do 3 trees in my home every year, and one of them is gingerbread, so I thought that would be so sweet. But I also thought, you know, maybe this might be a cute little set to give to one of my nieces and nephews that they might want to play come Christmas time. I got more of this like pampas grass, I think it's called. These things can be painted, spray painted. I might use these on my Christmas tree this year. I got these cattails, right? They're really long and they are really cool. They are very nice quality. My husband found me this. He knows how I want to make my own candlesticks, and so he found this piece right here, which says that it is part of a cake stand, and the cake stand was $25. So have no idea what happened to the cake stand, but just the base was there. And then he found this, which looks like a spindle or from a stairwell. And he was like, Rena, we could drill a hole and then make a candlestick out of this. So, a future project coming up with these 2 babies. Speaking of trains, and I told you we have that village. My husband found this little house there and paint this. And last time he added shingles to the house that we found at the Goodwill Bins. So I'm excited to see what he does with this. Got this sweet little basket. I thought it would be so cute hanging from a hook like that. I think that's so sweet. And then, you know, you can never go wrong with a pumpkin. And then my husband also found me a couple of Reader's Digest books in colors that I don't have. So this is like a burgundy and red one. And then look at this. I love this one, right? Cream and green. Isn't that so cool? So this one, I'm making soups. Who loves soups? And you know, I'm saying that, and it is a rainy day today. I'm going to see if I can't find a recipe in here that I can make with stuff that I have on hand. I also thought this book was so great, Gifts in Jars, and had so many wonderful ideas inside of here. And I think that is such a fun gift to give. And then lastly, I found this Entertain and Celebrate Easter. And there are just so many gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at that. Is that not a cute idea? Look at these little jelly beans on the cupcakes and these cookies. And so I just thought this was just filled with such wonderful inspiration. And it's slow in the home decor. I sometimes run on over to the clothes bins to see if I can find anything. And I did. I found this beautiful embroidered skirt. Isn't that going to be so cute in the summer? It's all cotton. And this is a sweatshirt. So the back is all this beautiful eyelet. When you flip it around, it's nice and, you know, great on the top with that beautiful ruffle showing at the bottom. I think those are 2 wonderful additions. And that brings my total that I spent for everything to $33. And so let's go inside. I'm so excited to share the bread box project, which is my first resell item. So let's take a look. This is the bread box bin, and I spent a good amount of time sterilizing it and cleaning it all up. And while you're watching the transformation, I wanted to share a little bit of the backstory. So here's the funny thing. I actually wasn't planning on buying this bread box. It didn't have a lid. I looked all over for it and I couldn't find it in the bins, and I thought, oh, I need to leave that behind. But somehow I forgot to double check my cart before checkout, and I went home with this bread box. But God always has a plan, even in the little things. And on my way home, I got a call from a sweet friend who was asking if I could help wrap some presents for her daughter-in-law. And as we talked through the gifts, I realized that the colors and textures she was talking about matched perfectly with this bread box. And that's when I knew it wasn't an accident that I brought it home. So I decided to give it a second life. I noticed on one side it had the word bread, but on the other side it was blank. And so I thought making a sweet air dry clay flower would be perfect to add to the back side of the bread box. And that way it could be flipped around and used as either a bread box or even potentially as a planter. So I coated the mold with some cornstarch, and I'm using just some Crayola air dry clay, link in the description below, and I pushed that on into the mold. And after I demolded it, I went around with both my little shaping tool as well as a tiny razor blade to clean up the edges. And I was ready to glue it on, and I'm using some Type Bond 2 wood glue, and I'm applying that generously over the back of the clay, and I'm making sure that the glue goes all the way to the edges, and then I'm going to apply it straight onto the bread box and allow it to set up. And I started painting over it with some Waverly chalk paint in a soft white, and then I distressed it just enough to let some of that original texture peek through, where you can also see the word bread. And then I added a little bit of antiquing wax to give it that cozy, warm, vintage feel. As this is my first resale project, it really means a lot that it started with such a personal moment. Sometimes we think we're just shopping, but God is weaving stories in the background that we can't even see yet. So I hope that you will come back next week. I have some exciting Goodwill Bins flips projects that I have also sold for a profit. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you then.